So here we go. We're going live at the, it's Angela Whiteway here. Guys, you won't see me because I'm here to interview my wonderful friend, my sister friend. We've been sister friends since the 70s. And we're here in Harwich, Massachusetts on Cape Cod. And this is the curator of the Harwich Cape Verdean Museum, my best bud here, Miss Barbara Burgo Montero from way back. And Barbie, please walk us through and tell us about this amazing museum that you've started here in the city of Harwich.
Thank you, Angela. As you can see, the flag shows that this is a Cape Verdean museum of modern day. Since independence, we've had two flags. Since I was a child, I've been coming down here to visit my grandmother in Harwich and many family members on Cape Cod. They used to say we were the new immigrants who were the cranberry pickers. They say the cranberry industry started on the backs of the Cape Verdeans and the Finns and the Wampanoags who were here before us. But what I'd like to show here is that we are more than just cranberry pickers. That's my famous mantra. We are doctors and lawyers and anthropologists. So
you're a cultural anthropologist yourself, aren't you, Barb?
I am a cultural anthropologist, and I studied in Cape Verde the summers of 97 and 98 through the tutelage of Dr. Richard Loban and my women's studies through his wife, Dr. Carolyn Flor Loban of Rhode Island College, who taught me so much more about my history and my culture that I can now be proud of. It shows here that Antonio de Noli first founded or landed on Cape Verde in the early 1400s, mid-1400s. Many people were there before then and since then, but in the early 1462, 97, we had Portuguese settlers, Vasco da Gama, Francis Drake. It was, yes, a slave post. People don't like to talk about the uglier side of humanity, but slaves went through Cape Verde like most other places on the way to America. There was Jewish settlement there. I was taught that the Sephardic Jews came to Cape Verde when they were ousted from Spain during the Inquisition. And my DNA shows I'm 1% Jewish, and my son-in-law is Jewish, so that's an important part for me. Here, what most people don't know, and I thought it was curious, Samuel Hodges of Massachusetts arrives in the archipelago to serve as the first American consul to the Cape Verde Islands in 1818.
Wow.
Source, Dr. Richard Loban and Marlene Lope's Historical
Interesting. So this is a timeline of the Cape Verde Islands from 1866 all the way up to... Back to, I'm sorry, of course, 1456. I guess I started on the wrong end over there.
And so this end
well, isn't
this
interesting? Okay.
And then continues from 1869 when slavery was abolished. The timeline continues. And what we say, Chuba is rain. Water. So what we say is it's the lack of rain that caused the out-migration of so many Cape Verdeans from the islands to other places like Europe and America and places far beyond. I like to tell the students that Cape Verde is like Hawaii without the rain. You're taking a look at Mount Cara. This picture was done by my other sis in Cape Verdean Studies, Trouty Coli, who was of Ernestina fame.
Okay.
We have students that learned about their Cape Verdean culture from New Bedford to Cape Cod and continuing on. The flag that you see on your right was the initial flag from independence.
This was the Cape Verdean flag.
That's the initial independence flag.
Okay.
1975, July 5th, was Cape Verdean's Independence Day. Independence was gained from the Portuguese by a group called the PAIGC, Party for the Independence of Cape Verde and Guinea-Bissau.
Okay.
And the father of our revolution, you see here, his name is Amilcar Cabral. And Cabral was assassinated in 1973, about 19 months before we got independence.
Okay.
When they turned to a multi-party system in 1992, free multi-party election started in 91, 92, they developed a new flag. And Angel and Terry and I discussed the competition that they had to design the new flag. Though many of us didn't like that it looked so red, white, and blue European from the different flag that we had of Africa, what we said was the blue represents the water on the bottom. The blue on the top represents the skies. We get our food sources and we get to go away and come back to Cape Verde by the water. We get our God-fearing Catholic portion of us, 92% Catholic in the islands when I studied there, from the heavens. The red is the blood shed for independence. The white represents the purity and the honesty of the Cape Verdeans, pure in nature and good God-fearing people. The 10 stars represent the 10 islands, 9 inhabited, and in a circle for unity, and the gold color to represent maize, which is our corn staple of the islands, and richness. Yellow represents the richness.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
This
Okay.
is where my grandfather, Frank Fonseca, came from. I took this picture on the island when I was there.
Okay.
It is the volcano, still an active volcano in Fogo. I
Okay.
never totally memorized the height. People always ask me, so there it is. The tip is Pico, the point. And the
Fogo.
volcano is 9,281 feet above sea level.
Now, Fogle is an island or that's
It's
a
an
town?
island. No,
Okay, that's the
the
name of that
island of
island
Fogle.
where you guys are
Means
from.
where my grandfather Fonseca was from.
Okay.
My grandmother, Lopes Fonseca, my mother's mother, was from Brava.
Okay.
And my Montero side, my grandfather Montero, was from Santo Antão. So they say Brava, e Fogo, e Santo Antão.
Ah, okay.
And then we
So
have
Cape Verdean language lesson there.
Cape
Okay.
Verdean pride lesson.
Yes.
Everyone says, Que ilha?
Yes.
What island?
Uh-huh.
Brava,
Brava.
now. What island? Fogo, now. What island? Brava e Fogo e Santo Antão.
Okay.
And this is the infamous, now deceased, Judge George N. Layton. You can read up on him. He was the first African American and ethnicity Cape Verdean district court judge
Ah,
And-
in the country?
in the country.
The first in the country, wow.
First African in the country
To become
and
judge.
To become district court judge, federal district court judge. He was a friend of Thurgood Marshall and
Ah,
Eugenia Forts.
okay.
And he worked in Chicago in his office in Chicago until he was 97 years old when I visited him at an office. And he also was telling me that he met a young senator named Barack Obama who came to him for some questions, and he was very proud to have lived to see the first black president of America.
wonderful.
And the judge lived until early this year. He died at 105
Oh,
years old.
amazing. Amazing. Oh, my, wonderful.
Okay?
Okay.
And this is Pano
So-
cloth we didn't talk about. Pano is the cloth. It used to be like a wampum that the wampanoag that the Indians used when there was no money. It was a trade, a barter system.
Okay.
And they would make this fabric, and they would
Trade it for
Trade it.
goods.
for goods,
Okay.
mostly food
For
sources.
food, sure.
It's very highly sought after and very highly honored.
Beautiful.
In 2012, when I came here, the ambassador to the U.S. was Ambassador Fatima Lima Vega. She honored us with a trip here to Harwich. Stayed at
Uh-huh.
my friend's Inn of Treasured Memories right there on Main Street. That was
Nice.
where I used
Okay.
to stay, and we had breakfast with her. She
Beautiful.
was looking forward to us doing more in Harwich to celebrate the Cape Verdean culture. Most people
Which you're
know,
doing, which is
I'm-
wonderful. Yes,
With your
which you
help,
are doing
Angel, Terry.
almost single-handedly
With
here.
help from people, my
Okay.
friends and sisters. This, of course, is Eddie Andrade.
Okay.
Many people remember him from Cabo Video. He
Okay.
had a long acting TV show. But what most people don't know is he was the founder of the Onset Cape Verdean Festival,
Oh, okay. All
which would
right.
be about 25 years old
All
right
righty.
now.
Okay.
And on this wall, we have some of the Harwich Cape Verdeans that live right here.
Because your mother was born here in Harwich,
My
is that
mother
right?
was born here in Harwich.
And where is she? There she is.
In 1928.
There she
She went
is.
to Taunton in 1930 to live with an aunt and uncle and
Okay.
grew up there. Her brother, Carol Fonseca,
Uh-huh.
was brought up right here in
Right here.
Harwich until he went
And
into
that's
the
you.
service. And that's me.
Oh, see. Very nice. I knew you when. And this is a really interesting poster here in the story that you told us about. This young man on the right-hand side who actually graduated from the blind school, School for the Blind,
Perkins School of the Blind.
Perkins School of the Blind, at 15 years old, and actually wrote the song Jetliner. Airliner, big old jet airliner. That's the one. Don't take me too far away. Now this poster over here, my fellow Californians, proud to be Cape Verdean, a look at Cape Verdeans in the Golden State. So those are Cape Verdean people that are living in California. So is that a documentary, Barbie, or this?
Yes, it is.
This is a documentary about proud Cape Verdeans who live in California. So that's
Absolutely.
interesting.
And Mike
Okay.
Costa grew up in Freetown, Massachusetts.
Ah, okay.
And so he came here and showed his documentary at the Harwich Historical Society in 2012. And when this museum gets up and running enough that we can have another function like that, he's offered to come back and show it again.
Wonderful.
And here
Okay.
is Jet Airliner, produced by the Steve Miller Band.
Wow.
And the Pina family, of course, get to have dinner with Steve Miller Band every time they come down here to the Cape Cod Melody.
On an old 45 record. My millennial friends will not know. This is a record. This is what music used to come on before CDs and streaming.
And
Records.
while we're talking about old friends and old music,
Okay.
you can't forget what your friends would recognize this as.
The Tune Weavers.
This is John
Oh.
Silver, one of the original tune weavers, and his wife's sister, and her name is Charlotte. His first wife passed away. Her name was Margot. She wrote and sang
Happy birthday, baby. Great.
So
How
you
great is
know
that?
they were the Tune Weavers, were the first Cape Verdeans, first ever to get, of course, top 10.
Top 10.
Did they get to number one? I'm not sure if they exactly got to number one, but they are in the Doo-Wop Oldies Hall of Fame and the Cape Verdean Hall of Fame.
Oh, how wonderful.
Johnny Silver still lives in his 80s, I believe. He would hate me if I'm wrong, but he lives in Marion, Massachusetts, and he's a very good friend of
Oh,
ours.
wonderful.
Okay.
Amazing. Okay.
In this room, we have CVs and the sea.
So the CVs are the Cape Verdeans and the sea. Let's go see. They're surrounded by sea everywhere there, since the Cape Verde Islands are off the coast of Africa, off the west coast of Africa, coming towards the United States.
Yes, near
course.
Senegal, about 380 miles off the coast.
Okay. All right.
So if you're looking at Africa. So this is a picture, again, my friend Trouty Colai, former anthropologist of the schooner Ernestina, took.
Okay.
And people always hear us saying juntement. It means helping hands. And I let the kids know, before Hillary coined it or wrote the book on it, we always knew it took a village.
It took a village.
This is a
yeah.
small Cape Verdean village, and everyone helps. They have one motor, if you notice, with two boats.
Okay.
They clean it every day. One boat goes out one day, one boat goes out the other day.
Oh, wow.
They fillet their fish right there. They clean it all off, and they get ready for the next day.
Amazing.
This is how they live.
Okay.
This came from the book and the data of Dr. Loban to tell us in the Whaling Museum in New Bedford, there is a sample of the Lagoda, and the Morgan is one of the ships, couple of the ships that the Cape Verdeans came over here on. They were an integral part of the whaling industry.
On the islands.
So whaling industry mostly here.
Oh, okay.
They came from the islands with the Portuguese because they were excellent navigators. And when they got here to America, New Bedford has a video that's called The City That Lit the World, done by the National Park Service. And the earliest of the whalers came from mostly places like New Bedford, and New Bedford was at one time the richest city in the world.
Wow.
Because they used the whale oil for lighting.
Oh, okay. Oh,
And
okay. So that's hence the city that lit the world. I see.
Okay?
Okay.
And of course they worked at places like the Acushnet Mills where they made clothing and shoes and things like that. Here
Whaling to textile.
absolutely are the Cape Verdeans in the cranberry
Cranberry
fields.
fields.
We always talk about cranberries, but certainly they also picked any berries. So strawberries, blueberries, and the such.
Okay.
Cesaria Evero, we just talked about. Most people know of her because she's called the Cape Verdean Diva. She sang when I last saw her before her death at the Berkeley in Boston. Here's Daddy
And barefoot,
Grace.
right?
And
Barefoot. She
The
would only
barefoot
sing on
diva.
stage barefoot.
And so we see Sweet Daddy Grace. He had the first Cape Verdean church in America. He was a wealthy father, pastor, whatever. And Bana over here, I have a picture of him. I met him in the airport when we went to Washington, D.C. for the last festival on Cape Verde. He was famous for his deep voice as well. Anyone who's anyone knows that. Nantucket, I'm told right now, had some of the first populations of Cape Verdeans. We keep asking whether they came first to Boston or to Providence or to Cape Cod, and the oldest details of data that I have gotten where they landed on Nantucket. Which makes sense.
Nantucket Island.
And here's
Okay.
the Cape Verdean exhibit, maritime exhibit from the Whaling Museum in New Bedford. And this is a sample of the schooner Ernestina. She is now the official vessel of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. She was built in Essex, Massachusetts in 1894, sailed the Arctic under Bob Bartlett fame, an Arctic fishery, and when she caught on fire in New York in the late 40s, a Cape Verdean man named Henrique Mendes bought her with his sister's loan of money. So there's always a good woman behind a good man. And he refurbished her, put her back to sail, and she went back and forth to Cape Verde as a packet trade ship, bringing goods and family home and returning some goods and family to America.
Wonderful.
She is now being repaired in Maine and will, I'm told, come back to Massachusetts Maritime here. And there's a schooner Ernestina Morrissey Foundation that wants to keep Ernestina alive. She's a grand lady.
Nice. I know my friend Sandra Ramirez, who she was on the call. I'm not sure if she's still there, but she'll love this. Let the sea set you free.
Let the sea set you free.
Very nice. And these are all the islands right here.
Those are all the islands. And
How
you can
wonderful. Oh, amazing.
This
I want to
man
go
was
there one day
called-
with you.
We're going very
With
soon.
you, yes.
This man was called Pork Chop. He no longer lives, but he was famous for building ships in a bottle.
Okay.
And this was his nephew-in-law This is Lee Charlton. People will know him of NAACP fame from New Bedford, and that was one of the ships that Porkchop built.
Awesome.
He was here in 2012 as well. So this is an unknown. I like to say I'm still learning so much more.
Mm-hmm.
This came from the collection, which many items did, of Jolie Gonsalves, who has passed already, but left me so much of this collection that I value more than almost anything I have.
Beautiful.
Eve, I can't tell if this was a Cape Verdean or a Portuguese man or an Italian or a Spanish or whatever, but that harpoon looks like whaling fame.
Right.
And this looks like it must have been of New Bedford fame. You can tell he's a mariner by just the way he's dressed. I thought it was
Right.
magnificent.
It is.
tale.
It's a beautiful picture.
So the youth will come in here, and many other folks asking us about not only the ships that sailed. I saw this in the library in Hyannis. It's a National Geographic poster of the shipwrecks. So as many people as we know that made it here from across the Atlantic, we know how treacherous the waves are there, and
so many of them that didn't.
and so many that didn't.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
And in the next room, the last room, going by, here is a quilt
Oh,
made.
isn't that gorgeous?
This is Virginia Pina.
Wow.
In 2012,
Let's see.
in honor of me
Okay.
and my efforts to establish. the
Oh,
Cape
it
Verdean
does say
Museum.
gift of Virginia Pina to Barbara Burgo in recognition of her efforts in curating this exhibit. Because nobody works harder than that lady right there. Okay, well that is quite gorgeous.
Just getting
Yeah.
established. It's not only just
Okay.
a sample of the beginning. We have a room dedicated to our Cape Verdeans in the military. We're beginning something for the Navy and the Air Force, the Army,
Oh, how
and
wonderful.
of course the Marines.
Okay.
This is my Uncle Donald, my Uncle Carol's brother, my mother's brother. From Connecticut is mostly his fame. They called him Deacon Don. He became a deacon. And this was the first and only Cape Verdean police chief
Oh,
in Harwich.
in Harwich. Okay, right here. Right here in
Right
this
here.
town.
So this
and
is
this
the
is
beginnings.
Army, Massachusetts Pride, and then I see you have a Negro League baseball T-shirt.
Yes. My newest cousin, Sandy Reed, who we found family members through the DNA.
Okay, okay.
Daughter of my Uncle Carol. We met just 2 years ago. She was 59 years old, and we went to meet each other. And her husband gave me, she and her husband gave me the Negro Leagues of, from that museum in, where was I?
Very interesting. Okay.
This is a Virginia Pina.
Oh, that's an
Cape
original
Verdean
piece?
board. That's an original from Mrs. Pina. She
Beautiful.
gave it to me for my 65th birthday.
Oh,
And the
sweet.
uniqueness that my lovely sis Angel would know. Jenna has done them with 7 boys. She's done them with 5 boys.
Uh-huh.
She said she was getting older. She was 88 years old, and she did only 3.
3.
But how many brothers did I have?
Ah, yes, you did have 3 brothers. Yeah.
Perfect. That's why I was
Wonderful. So wonderful. And this person, Angel, she keeps referring to is me, by the way, guys.
My guardian angel. And this is again
Okay.
in the making. With everything Cape Verdean crianças we have to pay attention to. This is for the children.
Okay.
We will be teaching the children to color in the Cape Verdean flag.
Nice.
To learn the symbols of the flag. To learn some Cape Verdean language. To learn appreciation of the sea, of our culture, and of themselves. So we are here to inspire the next generation.
Of course. And that's what we need to be doing. Now, this is interesting here. This quilt, is this something that you made? You made this? Look at this.
Put it together
Thank you.
while I was the chair of the Barnstable County Human Rights Commission. And they have a Human Rights Academy every single year. They meet in the fall to try to decide what they're going to do as human rights students. And we meet again in the spring to see what they did. So 2 years ago, I cut out 8-inch squares and asked them to read the human rights booklet that we gave them.
Okay.
What are human rights? And take any one of the human rights. Number 20.
The right to public assembly.
The right to democracy. And of course, they always know a human right is we are all born free and equal. I said, take any one of the amendments and just tell me what it means to you. So, like this one.
Equality.
The
Yeah.
right to marry no matter
Right.
who it is you love.
I love this one. I'm sorry, show me that
Go
one
right
you
ahead.
wanted to show. This one here.
There you go.
I am great, I'm straight, I'm lesbian, I'm bisexual, I'm transgender, I'm human. So that's the bottom line. That's the bottom line. We are all human. Yes.
Why can you decide who it
Who's
is
allowed?
we are allowed to love?
Yeah.
No one shall be subjected to torture or cruel or inhuman, degrading treatment or punishment. Everyone has a right to a nationality.
Uh-huh.
And these
Yes.
are all from middle school and high school students. Some do not believe in climate change,
Oh, right.
any such thing like
Right,
that.
yeah.
But the clean water is important, especially to folks who live like this on the Cape.
Right.
Clean water not only for us humans, but for the whales and the seals and the mammals and the turtles. So this person said water.
Water.
Clean water is a human right.
So important. Okay.
Okay?
All right. So wonderful. Now you have some art. I saw that you showed me a little earlier
Yes.
on the women, Cape Verdean women in
Right.
the
And women,
art?
I explained to you in Terry, we say Creolas, which is part of my shirt. There was a Creola conference they called Porosa, and that kind of means strong, powerful, mentor Cape Verdean woman. So the Creolas
Okay.
in the arts
Creolas in the arts.
are
Okay.
in this room.
Oh, lovely. Yeah.
It was close to Women's History Month. It's not because I don't care about men in the arts, but we've got a couple of rooms full of men, male symbols, and mentors. This was done in April for Women's History Month, March and April. And Eva Brito from New Bedford. This is her memory of her mom, the island of Sol, where her mom used to work. And of course, this would be a glass factory.
Glass factory.
This is done by Dr. Amina Pilgrim, who was born in Wareham. And she was one of the co-founders of the Ponderosa Conference, which
Okay.
someday we'd like to bring to Cape Verde. And when we do,
Okay.
Angel's going to come with us.
Wonderful.
I explained about Montcara to Angel over there, and you can see art of Face Mountain in San Vicente. This is done by artist Eva Brito again. One of my favorites. I got a print of hers, and they're both doing things in the art to show their cultural pride for the children that they have had. Both
Beautiful.
Eva and Amina have had young boys that they want to bring up healthy and proud.
Beautiful pieces. Really beautiful pieces. And I just love this one. I was reading this earlier. The first time I felt beautiful was when I was pregnant. Powerful. Black women in the U.S. slave era were denied the freedom to choose when and how to birth their babies and to mother their children. Just now, if it were possible, I would gather my race in my arms and fly away. Ida Wells?
Ida B. Wells.
Strength, courage, magic, love, and hope. I will look after you, and I will look after anybody you say needs to be looked after. I am here. I brought my whole self to you. I am your mother, Maya Angelou. Beautiful.
And that was done by Amina Pilgrim.
By Amina.
Dr. Amina Pilgrim.
Dr. Amina Pilgrim. Beautiful.
As
Wonderful.
Was this. That is, again, Fogel. That's the volcano.
That's the volcano. Okay. Oh, amazing. Amazing.
Everybody needs to get to Cape Verde someday.
Yes. So we will all go to Cape Verde. And let's take a quick run through the kitchen, through Nana's kitchen.
Nana's kitchen.
Before, because I know you've got to go.
I gotta go.
And let's see. So here we have Nan's kitchen.
Yay!
Yay! That was Barbie's mom and my surrogate mom. She was the best, just the best. Such a great influence in my life.
It's not just for my mom.
Right.
Many of us have a Nana that we remember. And if we remember some of my earliest memories were way back in the 50s when I would come to Cape Cod. This is a kind of a typical Cape Cod or even Taunton kitchen that had the old stoves, the old tea kettles.
The tea
use
kettles.
those anymore. This was a gift of Gunga Tavares from the consulate. She's the cultural attaché. She said it's done with the back of banana peels. It's all handmade.
It's beautiful.
And that's the pilon, of course, that
Of
we
course,
mash
that
some
they're
of our
mashing the corn.
And
Yep.
this, of course, is a corn grinder, meal grinder. And it's heavy, but I take it off to show that that's what they made the corn meal from. And people know this as samp, and that is our famous cachupa or manchup. For anybody who knows that, and Angel's friends who are Cape Verdean who knows, they will say, "Oh, cachupa, manchup, what's that?" And this is a sampler stove from the Colonel Montero, formerly of Falmouth, Strawberry Farm. And the cranberry scoop.
Of course.
That Cape Verdeans are so well known for. I don't celebrate it first, but we must celebrate it at least.
And do they still use those, you think, to gather cranberries? Probably not.
Mostly not. They're done by machinery.
By machine now.
So these things that were handmade and almost disposable, they'll garner a huge sum to buy them online. Some of them are $200, $400, $500.
Okay.
Because they are now art pieces.
You told me this interesting story about the curtains over the cupboards.
When we were younger, we didn't have the doors and the cabinets and all the fancy things that we did, so they would make just curtains to pretty it up. But I remember speaking to Mrs. Virginia Pina and asking her, when they covered it up sometimes, I thought maybe because it was so full and spilling out, maybe so that they wouldn't show people what's in there. And sometimes they'd be tied back with a cute little tie that's really probably from a sack of potatoes. And what she explained to me is written in this cultural custom.
When cabinet curtains closed, family in need. When curtains open, all are welcome to eat indeed. Virginia Pina.
And so what we've tried to establish here was when they're closed and people come in here, it would have been against the pride of the Cape Verdean to show anybody that they were in want.
In need, or that they had very little in their cupboard.
It was a very bad season for crops. But when the curtains were open, it shows that they were in abundance.
Wonderful.
All are welcome. And the table that's set here with my mom's napkin holder from 20 years ago would be welcome for anybody to sit and eat. And if anyone remembers the Cape Verdean kitchens that their mom, grandmother had, the most warm, wonderful conversations, feelings, and we say morbeza, happened right here in the kitchen.
Right here in the kitchen, always. Even my friend Jean Cade back in California, she has a huge house, but everything happens around the kitchen table. Exactly. The real stuff, the real.
So this book is here, and of course still working on these things, but what I started in 2012 over there was I started a book here for people to write when the museum is fully running. Memories are made and cultural cuisine shared in a typical Cape Verdean kitchen. Please share a thought or a memory of what this meant to you and your family.
Wonderful. Ugh, amazing. Amazing. So, and then this is just a t-shirt that shows all the little islands. So here is, of course, Africa, the continent, and this would be the Cape Verde Islands right here, right? And then, of course, here they are. You can see each of, and it is almost like a little horseshoe we were talking about a little bit earlier. So...
And we used to be called Brabants, the earlier Cape Verdeans that came here when people didn't know exactly what to say, since there was part Portuguese, part African, and many were lighter skinned, they would say, came from the island of Brava, where the Portuguese kind of mentored so many for education. Fogo means fire. They must have seen the volcanic island. That's where my grandfather came from my mother's side. That's where my grandmothers came from. And then the island of Sant Antone, and northernmost, I just told Angel and Terry about Ponta do Sol. There's a point here that's closest to the sun, and that's where my Montero family is near, a village called Ribeira do Toro. And this, of course, is the main island of Santiago. That's where Praia is. Praia is the capital of Cape Verde.
How wonderful. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Barbie, thank you so much for taking the time and walking us through and pointing out all these wonderful things about the museum, and you're doing a fantastic job. Yes. Okay. Bye, everybody. Thanks for hanging with us. We got an education today on the Cape Verde Islands off the coast of Africa and how they moved into the United States. How
From
wonderful.
a 67-year-old Cape Verdean, proud to be also a black woman here in America.
Yeah, and my sister friend from way back. Okay, everybody. Bye.